Welcome back to part 3 of the 72 Camaro rebuild. So where we left off before, we had the roof cut off and we had started prepping and moving the seatbelt locations. So we got that done there in the last video. So now let me get the camera turned around here and show you where we're at. So as we stated in some of our previous videos, we went ahead and sprayed an epoxy primer on all of our inner structure here, where we fixed all of our rust here around the outer wheel well. And then all this inner structure here, while we had access to it, just go ahead and put another good coat of epoxy primer on there, just a little added extra layer of protection. We also went ahead and sprayed all of the trunk areas there where we had the gas tank cross member welded in, covered up all that bare metal there. And also on the rear cross rail here, where all of our welds were there to the frame rail, and where the cross rail is welded to the actual trunk floor. So again, we did that on both sides here as far as the inner structure and that goes. We did go ahead and kind of set our roof up here to kind of test fit that and see how that's looking. And I'll show you that in a little bit later in the video. Then we come in here and we went ahead and welded in a new piece there for the firewall. And I've got that coming up here right behind you. Right behind this, I'll show you how we did this here, run it through the bead roller. Welded it up. We've still got a little bit more welding to do, but this car is getting a vintage air unit on it. So we done away with all of that factory hole there for where the factory air conditioning box was. On the vintage airs, all the heater hoses and air conditioning hoses come out right there where the factory blower motor hole was. So let me jump right in here and we'll get to work and I'll show you how we built this firewall. Alright, so Troy's got that cut out, and then we cut a template out of just regular poster board. We're going to lay that in, make sure that we got everything where we know it'll fit up. We'll transfer this over to steel. I've also got a couple of reference marks here. We're going to run this through the bead roller and put a couple of beads in here, kind of give it a little bit of character, we shall say. So let's get this transferred over to some sheet metal and then go to the bead roller. So now we're going to lay out some lines for our bead work, and we've already transferred a couple of marks that we had from our poster board, and I do this different every time. It's just kind of whatever I feel that day. I don't really have any templates to go off of. It's just all off the top of my head. So We'll see how this works. If we don't like it, we can always redo it. And I need a radius. A can works pretty good for that. And let's do that one and see what it looks like. We could always come back in and add something else over here if we need to. Alright, so we've got our new firewall cut out, we've got it trimmed, we've got a couple of holes there for some plug welds. I'm going to help Troy there set that into place and we'll start tacking it in. So that looks pretty good. We're going to go ahead and speed through that. I'm going to go ahead and let him tack the rest of that into place. I think he's got it to where he can handle it from this point. And then we'll be right back. So it's been just a couple of days while we waited on our quarter panels to come in for the Camaro. We got those in from Classic Industries, and we've had a busy week here this week trying to get everything ready for the World of Customs Auto Show in Tupelo, Mississippi, coming up this weekend. We'll be taking 2 vehicles over there, so we've been getting those prepped and ready to go. We're doing a 68 Ford Bronco that we showed a walk-around video on it here a couple of weeks ago. We've got it finished up, been cleaning and detailing, got everything adjusted, and put a lot of hours in on that one to get it ready. And we'll be picking up our 48 Ford F1 from the upholstery shop, and we'll be actually cleaning up it there at the show. It's going to be down to the wire on that one, but we'll get it. So we'll do a video showing you the interior on that one. And we're also going to do some footage there at the show. A couple of other vehicles that we've worked on and done paint jobs and stuff on. We'll show you those as well. So if you're in the area, come by and say hi, see us. We've got some new merchandise available, new shirts. We've got a couple of hats still left. We've got to get some more of those ordered. So if you're in the area, though, come by and see us. We'd love to see you. Anyway, let me get this camera turned around and I'll show you what our quarter panels look like. We had a little bit of downtime yesterday, so I had the guys come in and went ahead and test fitted those quarter panels and with the rear body panel just to double check, make sure how everything was going to fit up. So let me get this turned around. So as you can see there, we do have the quarters just kind of put into place. We've got a couple of clamps, we've got a couple of screws holding them. Everything looks decent. We've got a lot of work to do here. Everything's still having fitment issues with all this aftermarket metal. So nothing's perfect, but we kind of got an idea. I like to do this as soon as we get them in. We open them up and inspect them to make sure there's no damage when during their shipping. So we go ahead and get those, and I wanted to test fit them on just to make sure there's no major issues. So again, everything fit up decent across here. Now the back, a little bit different story. We still got a lot of fitment issues back here, but at least we kind of know what we need to modify as we take it back off, because we still have to take all these panels back off. We have to drill all of our spot welds all the way around the perimeter for the back glass, all the way around back here where it meets up to the rear body panel, all the inner wheel well, and the door jamb area. One thing that we did do while we've got it, the body panel back on here, is we went ahead and marked our bumper mount locations here. So when we pull that rear body panel back off, we'll be able to drill those holes there on both sides. And also, we've noticed that we've got to do just a little bit of trimming here in this corner back here on the rear trunk extensions. It's kind of wanting to push it out a little bit further here in this area. So we're going to trim that down just a little bit there to kind of hopefully get that where that fits up just a little bit better there. So again, we're going to get these quarters pulled back off. I really want to get the quarters put on, and then we'll finish up our roof before we start on the floors. Just kind of add a little bit more structure back in here to the car. So let me get set up here. We'll get the quarters pulled off. I'll go ahead and get all my spot welds, holes drilled and punched out for those. and we'll get ready to where we can get all this stuff fit back up one final time. So for whatever reason, our trunk extensions are sticking out just a little bit further here on the end than what they need to be. And you can write it off for just being aftermarket sheet metal. So we've marked that. We're going to actually trim this up, and I'll get the camera moved around. We'll cut down and recess this back over, re-weld that, so this area here is not sticking out. It was not allowing us to get the body panel where we needed it to be. So once we cut that little section of metal out there, we're just simply going to push this back over, and that kind of lines everything back up into place. And we'll go ahead and weld all of that back up and then grind it down, and we should have this side cleared. Then we'll repeat for the passenger side. So after everything is welded and ground back down, this corner pretty much looks like this. And this is just one of those things that, be prepared for with aftermarket sheet metal. You have to kind of massage, and you have to be able to cut and weld to get all this stuff lined back up. One of the other things that we had to do that I didn't really talk about before is on this rear floor section here and the rear cross rail. I had to come back in here and really kind of knock this whole area in right here. As you can see, this area, it curves in here and then back out over here. So both of this area right here, we had to kind of massage that metal a little bit to get to where the rear body panel would fit back up too. So we've got this passenger side here. It's cut, ready to be welded. We'll weld it, get it ground down, so it matches the driver's side, and then we should be ready to fit back all the quarter panels and stuff back on, check all that, and let's test fit everything to make sure that it lines back up. You've seen us earlier, we've got all of our holes and stuff drilled for our plug welds. We've got everything ground down, prep, and ready to go for both quarters. We knocked that out pretty quick. So let's get this thing test fit up and see how it looks.
We're going to put both of them on and put the tail cover back on?
Yeah, I think so. We'll fit them back both up here, get them as close as we can, and then we'll see how the rear body panel lines back up with it. And then, like I said, we'll get some screws and everything, and hopefully by that point we should be able to where we can start tacking on in a couple spots, hopefully, as long as everything lines up pretty good. So let's get the other one put on, and then we'll tackle the rear panel. So now we've got it, the rear body panel fitting a lot better than it was, although we still have an issue here with the where it matches up to the quarter panel here. And I think what's going on is the quarter panel is actually radiusing in, and then our rear body panel is more straight. So what we're going to end up doing is where we've got our little white marks here, we'll cut that so we can kind of fold that back in a little bit and kind of even this gap up here as best we can, get a nice gap there. But we've got to take this back off anyway to do some welding in here from the quarter panel into our trunk extensions. We're going to do that on both sides. We've got one more little piece put in there. Right now, we're going to go ahead and start welding the quarter on. Once we kind of get some of that tacked into place up there and weld it in, we'll come back in here. We can take this back off to where we got access in here to those holes there that you see. So before we get it welded up here, I want to kind of show you what we've done. Of course, you've seen us, we drilled all of our holes for our plug welds. We went ahead, we pulled with vice grips and clamps and clamped all of this back up good and tight. As you can see there, we just run some little 3/4 inch self-tapping screws through where we're going to plug weld here into to hold all this together, and we've got screws, several screws to hold it into place so nothing moves. And as we weld, we can take those back up, or take those back out rather, and then weld those holes all the way across the back glass and even down into the body panel back here, which we're going to remove. But we just get that to hold everything into place, and then we also have vice grips and clamps holding it where we can't get screws just yet.